From bringing back familiar faces to some familiar faces walking out the door, the Bruins have a lot to prove this next season, especially Don Sweeney, as he has re-signed for 2 years to help rebuild this team. Before we get into talking about the next season for the Bruins, my name is Brad. I'm going to be your host here at Anchor Points. I plan on talking about politics and hockey, and during the off season when there's minimal news and minimal things happening, I plan on talking a little bit about politics because I'm a politics nerd and I have to talk about it. I have pretty much a passion project that I want to do about politics and sports. So if that interests you, stick around, hit the subscribe button. I also put out 2 other videos. So if either one of them interests you, check them out. First thing I want to talk about a little bit is the coach. So Marco Stern, I think, is an amazing pick for the Bruins. For me, it was either him or some random pick that no one really had on the record, just like we had with Monty. I think that a former Bruin who's played with Bergeron and Chara is a really good pick, just because it helps make the culture more consistent and have a nice flow to where we want to go and where we want to be. One thing that did kind of raise a red flag for me is that he said that the D didn't really need to be worked on, and that to me is not true. I think the reason why Swayman didn't perform up to standard last year was because the team playing in front of him wasn't the best defensively. But otherwise, I think that he's going to put the Bruins on a really good path, and I like the direction that he has in mind. I'm just a little concerned when it comes to the defense. Moving on to the vacancy in the captain position, I think that either Poster or McAvoy is going to step up. I'm of the opinion of just let them play this season with A's, and whoever steps up into the role gets to be captain next year. I think McAvoy is more likely to become captain just because I've heard, I don't remember where the source was, but I heard that Pastrnak doesn't want to be captain. He's much more comfortable being the assistant, and I think if he doesn't want to do that, I think then Charlie will overall get the seat at the end of the day, and I don't really have that much of a problem with that. And speaking of players, we're going to be moving into some players I think are staying, some players I think are going. If I don't really mention a player, it's because I don't really have strong opinions on them. But for me, players that are staying are Pasta, Zacha, Geeky, Hampus Lindholm, and Zadorov. Zadorov is one of those players that, for me, he fits the mold of being a Bruin. I'm just unsure of how it's going to look. I think we're going to hang on to him for a little longer than I want if we ever let him go. But otherwise, I think he fits the Bruins mold enough that he will be hung on to until he walks at free agency is my guess. Otherwise, I think the younger guys, so Patra and Lohrei, are for sure the trade option is going to be explored with one or both. I personally want the Bruins to keep both of them, just because I feel like they're players that can be developed into really great players going forward. Patra especially has a lot of potential. I think that more so depends on if the Bruins want to explore developing these players instead of just giving them away. Like, if they want veteran players to come in, then Patra is probably gone. But if we want a younger generation of NHL players, Patra, in my opinion, has to stay. Patra has to be one of the core players in that rebuild. I mentioned Swayman earlier, in which is like the D needs to be more supportive of the goaltender. I still believe that firmly, and I think that Swayman gets a lot of undeserved hate for it, and I think this is a common problem within the NHL where goaltenders get blamed for defensive error. I see it with the Oilers, and I should have a video talking about this playoff series and what I think the Oilers did wrong, because the Oilers are my second team now because I started watching them this playoff season, and I think I'm noticing more flaws than actual Oilers fans, because all of them will blame Stuart Skinner And I don't think it's Stuart Skinner that's the problem. I think it's the defense that's the problem. Swayman, I think, is good. Like, when you saw him play for Team USA, his stats were amazing. And you can't just be like, oh, we should trade him because his stats look great here, but they don't look great for the Bruins. There's a reason they don't look great for the Bruins, and that is because he doesn't have a good enough D to back him up. Blaming Swayman for, like, all of the goals scored on him last year is weird to me. Korpisalo is another guy that I think the Bruins should look into trading. I'm not saying that he should for sure go. I think he deserves more ice time for the Bruins, and I don't know if he's going to get more ice time if Swayman comes back next season and has an amazing year. So I think exploring a Korpisalo trade should be something the Bruins look into, not necessarily pull the trigger on, but at least look into. And also, the Bruins goaltending-wise are very much set up. This is like a theme within Boston hockey, especially with the Boston Fleet. Our goaltenders are set in stone, basically. Goaltending to me is a lock for Swayman. I have not seen enough evidence saying that Swayman shouldn't be the lock. This season was flawed, and saying that all these defensive errors and with Swayman being the guy behind them is, in my opinion, wrong. Like, Hampus Lindholm was out for most of the year. We did not have a good D-core. Our D-core was injured pretty much the entire season. So, to me, blaming Swayman for the failures of this past season is wrong. And I keep saying it because it's true. You cannot blame the goaltender for everything under the sun. You have to blame the defensive performance at some point. Another free agent that kind of interests me as well is Kasperi Kapanen. He played for the Blues, and I'm from St. Louis, so once again, I apologize for naming two Oilers, but also, like, this guy, I know he has the capabilities to play and could probably be developed a little bit more just because I'm from St. Louis and I'm from the area that he played from. So I like Kapanen a lot. He would for sure fill in some offense that Marchand left. And I think he would be an interesting pick for the Bruins. I don't think that it's necessary. Like, I don't need to see him in the black and gold, but I think it would be... I would lean towards I'm okay with it rather than, like, as long as he's not asking for a lot, I would be more okay with Kasperi Kapanen than Corey Perry or anyone else. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the season recap, or the season, like, looking forward. I think it's going to be a messy season. I don't expect us to make the playoffs. I expect the playoffs to be 1-2 years out after this season. Hopefully, we get to see a quick outline of what Sweeney's going to do, and what his outline and plan for the team is going to be. Because so far, what I'm hearing from Marco Stern is a little concerning about the defense being pretty good. Otherwise, I'm unsure of what direction we go. But yeah, that's all for this video. I put out 2 other videos, as I mentioned in the start, alongside this one. One about the Oilers, one about being trans and kind of talking about my trans experience. But if that interests you, go check it out. As I said, I have a big passion project that should be coming out soon that is talking about politics and sports. It might actually not be soon, but I do plan on making that video during the off season, aside from draft news and free agency news, just because I think it's an interesting topic and something that not a lot of people think about, and people tend to desperately cling to separating these two when they are linked, whether you like it or not. This is Editing Brad here, realizing that the outro got cut off. So, yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I released 2 other videos that I am working on editing. But, yeah, as I mentioned, I have a passion project talking about sports and politics that I plan on doing. It's going to be, I think, a multi-part series breaking down the different aspects, because I started reading a book about Colin Kaepernick and I got interested in it, and I was like, okay, let's focus in on sports activism first and then expand from there, go into the history of, like, who has been allowed to play sports and whatnot. But yeah, if that interests you, hit the subscribe button, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. See ya.